have any questions. Yes, please.
I have a question regarding the use of intervention, the traffic light intervention. As in the user-used cars, how do you think it will affect to see a red light timing on the screen? I mean, I'm having hard times imagining I would see a time like 5 seconds until red light, and how can we ensure that the user doesn't speed up or, acts according to the plan?
That's a very good question, to be honest. And I thought about this as well. It is hard to answer, in my opinion. This is not maybe mostly related about the technical part of these solutions, but it's more the social way how these users are behave. I think it makes importance for the users to understand and accept how these solutions are actually functioning on the site and how they can actually optimally benefit out of these solutions. So if they would know that smoothening overall traffic instead of speeding up would actually create a harmonized driving along the section and would overall smoothen the flow, and they will not fall into the trap of speeding up means that you're actually faster, but overall you're not. I guess it also has a lot to do with user engagement and understanding how these concepts are functioning on the site. Or do you have?
No, I agree, and it's a very good point that you're raising, because we are discussing about technology, but it's all about the driving culture. And that is why more and more we should be focusing on driver training, on even not only drivers, but also users of the mobility network, let's say. So vulnerable road users, we call the people using bicycles or the pedestrians. But it's true that everyone should receive training on how to behave on the road. Because when we're more and more progressing towards CCAM, or connected, cooperative, automated mobility, things are changing around us. Imagine yourself suddenly becoming blind and going around with a stick. You don't have the same perception. You don't see. So something else should be giving you this information, the sensors, the data, the V2I, the V2V, and so on and so forth. So it is something that we are technology-wise working on, but coupled with the understanding of the change. And that's difficult. And as Itır was saying, we are dealing with, how did you call it, the middle mess?
The messy middle.
The messy middle, yes. So it is this a transitional period of mixed traffic, as we call it. And it is important that we cater, or we find the solutions for this situation before we progress to the full automation, because it's not going to happen from one day to the other. But that is why, as I said, training programs for different road users and mobility network users are being implemented. But it's a very good point indeed. Yeah.
Which we also have another project we will talk about on how the end users are trained for these solutions. But yeah. Thank you for your question.
In a minute, yeah. So let me give you another example. And what we are doing now is, after the introduction and the discussion on what is CCAM, why is it important, what do you need, and what are the technology parts, it's also important to know about these projects that are being funded at the European level with 70 partners, and understand that, as I was saying in the beginning, it's not one company or one industry doing it. It should be the cooperation of many, many partners from all sorts of stakeholder groups working together. So this is the project called C-Mobile, again, a flagship project, meaning a very important project that helps attain milestones in CCAM. And this was all about accelerating CITS, Cooperative ITS Mobility Innovation and Deployment in Europe, again funded by the European Commission or the European Union. This project has actually ended, and it ended very well. But again, let me give you some facts. The project coordinator has been A+ Itiada. It's a Spanish company. 37 partners from 9 European countries, It ran from 2017 to November 2020. The total budget, you see it there, 15 million, and funding 12 million. It is important to have, let me go back, it is important to have different areas and different parts of Europe, not only because this is a requirement for European funding, but also to work on this interoperability that is important. Because you don't go for one solution that works in 1 or 2 countries. You need to make sure that the results and the work done are interoperable for the companies that work at the European level or global level to be able to provide for this harmonization, let's say, of mobility solutions, and also good for the users that shouldn't be restricted. Oh, now I'm in Ankara, things are working differently. I'm in Barcelona, things are working differently. We should be able to have this harmonized mobility feeling and reality. So these are the partners involved. You see them there. You see how public authorities, research and academia, users and service providers are working together. And you see the core partners and the associate partners as well. And as I said, the scope was connectivity, interoperability, and deployment. So connectivity, enabling CITS services to support in-vehicle applications and two-way infrastructure communication. So the messages were received in the vehicle, either in the mobile or other device. Interoperability, so validating and testing the standards, and deployment, demonstrating, accessing, and evaluating the benefits of this integration and having it being scalable, deployed on a bigger scale. This is I'm not going to go into detail, but I wanted to show you that it's not only the technology part, it's also the organizational part, as I said, because both should be working at hand in hand for the sustainable large-scale CITS deployment. These are the services. They may be small to read, but it's good to see the different cities that were participating. So you see Barcelona, Bilbao, Bordeaux in France, Copenhagen in Denmark, the UK, North Brabant in the Netherlands, Greece, and Vigo. And you see the different services, and you see what was tested where. Of course, the ideal testing, it's always when you test the same thing in all the cities participating. And this is the system, the high-level model of the system, where, yeah, you go for a hybrid topology with cellular plus G5, geomessaging capabilities, and multi-user approach, and so on. It is a kind of technical slide to understand, but I guess most of you are engineers, so that's not a problem, an issue. But it also shows the organization of the entire scheme that the project has been working on. Yes, so this is again very important to establish these private-public partnerships, working on the concept, engaging all the partners together into attaining a good result that is going to be a win-win-win for all. And that's very important in all the projects. It's not only a win for the public authority, but it's a win for all the users, all the stakeholders, so that they are, so that the project is not a one-off testing or development or deployment. It can continue and be deployed as part of the services to be used. That is what a successful project does. And here you see again the use cases and the achievements at the end of the day. So you see the one, rest time management, motorway parking availability, and so on. The ones that are in blue, I'm going to use a couple of slides more to talk to you about. But you see it's a number of use cases, and as Itır was pointing out, they are always focusing on accessibility, efficiency, and safety. Because if CCAM is not safe, accessible, and efficient, why are we doing it? What's the added value? So you see these services that ideally you should be receiving in vehicle through your mobile or other device. Here you see more services, cooperative traffic light for pedestrian, flexible infrastructure, peak hour lane, and so on and so forth. And that is what Itır was also referring to, roadworks warning service. It is really an issue, and most of us have been facing it in the roads in Europe and elsewhere, where you suddenly, there are roadworks and nobody has warned you, no signs, no anything, and suddenly you drive with 120 miles or kilometers an hour, and suddenly you see this blocking on the lane, and it is basically unsafe, predominantly not efficient, and it is something. It is one of the first use cases that we work on CCAM. Again, road hazard warning service, that has been one of the services that the C-Mobile was working on. And as Itır was also mentioning, it's situations like this where you have fog, you don't see ahead, and it is very important that you are warned as a driver, or your vehicle that is automated is warned beforehand, either minutes, 5 minutes or more. So that is important. But the issue is always the business case, the business case for the industry, the business case for the public authority to cooperate and provide you this service in the vehicle. So this is a signal violation warning, CITS service, where somebody is likely to violate the traffic light, or attention, a pedestrian is crossing, and this is the chart where we are seeing the services and how they comply with the requirement to be adding to safety, efficiency, and emissions. And you see, you can receive it in your personal navigation device or your mobile, and these are used as a proof of CCAM being of added value in mobility. So this is, I'll talk about it later, but one of the other projects on CCAM, 5G Mobix, also works on these safety services. And what we do always in the projects under European funding, we aim to cooperate with non-European partners, and this specific one was in China, where trials are being held and the services are being tested, so that we make sure that it's not only interoperable and applicable in one region, but in more around the world. And that is also what ERTICO is aiming for, and the partners that we make sure that there is this harmonized approach towards mobility in the world. The main outcomes of the project: it developed a CITS reference architecture, updates CITS message profiles to ensure interoperability, as I said, developed deployment guidelines, which of course are always a deliverable in all the projects under European funding, because there are always guidelines coming out for the cities or the regions or the partners, industry included, that wish to take advantage of the results of projects and work on the further steps. And 10 business model blueprints have been validated and assessed for financial viability, which is, again, very, very important. You can go on this portal. I'm not going to go now because I think I have a nice video to show you. No, it doesn't show. Do you see the video in the control?
C-Mobile, accelerating CITS mobility innovation and deployment in Europe. The safety targets set by the European Union for the coming decade and the related Vision Zero longer-term objective require renewed efforts. Cities actively look for solutions to meet these challenges. CITS, Cooperative Intelligent Transport Systems, enable the delivery of Vision Zero objectives by reducing traffic hazards and making road transport safer and more efficient. Furthermore, by lowering the transport CO2 footprint, CITS makes road traffic more sustainable, supporting European Green Deal goals. These smart traffic solutions are based on a group of technologies and applications that allow road users to exchange data with each other and the digital road infrastructure through wireless communications. CITS also facilitates the changing mobility patterns from car-centric to public, shared, and active modes of transport like cycling. These systems enable interoperability between different road users, such as trip and mode advice, parking management, logistics, public transport, and vulnerable road users. This leads to safer, more efficient, and more sustainable road transport. C-Mobile has brought CITS a step further into European cities. For the past 4 years, our international team of experts has deployed 19 CITS services across 9 cities. 34 public authorities at local, regional, and national level external to the project have been engaged, exchanging knowledge and exchanging experiences. The services have focused on 2 main bundling categories: improving road safety and traffic efficiency. This has been accomplished through large-scale CITS deployments, interoperability, hybrid communication technologies, as well as new business models and exploitation plans. Through modular bundles, end users have benefited from a single application covering multiple CITS services. The bundles can operate in automated mode or in user-selected mode. The bundles also assist traffic managers as a solution tool for advanced traffic management strategies. Congestion resulting from increased traffic is only one of the main urban challenges, as well as the general current transport policy, aiming to increase the overall efficiency and the coexistence of different transport modes. As main achievements, C-Mobile has developed a CITS reference architecture covering both efficiency as well as safety aspects, has updated CITS message profiles to ensure interoperability, has developed deployment guidelines. Together with new business models and exploitation plans, 10 business model blueprints and related key exploitable results have been validated and assessed for financial viability. All these outputs are now easily available on the Cooperative Urban Mobility Portal, COUMP, which connects you to future mobility. The portal provides guidance, knowledge, and practical field experience. For the first time in Europe, it makes available interoperable common data and real-life large-scale experiences so that CITS get closer to everyone, everywhere. COUMP will continue expanding uptake across Europe and beyond, throughout a larger number of cities, multiple users, and multiple stakeholders. To make mobility solutions available to everyone, continuing the dialogue is paramount. To avoid fragmentation, the dialogue must carry on and ensure a continuous harmonization of the different technologies. Urban mobility of the future counts on CITS. The technology is ready to be deployed across Europe and beyond, and now is the time for wider uptake. Join us in making mobility safer, smarter, and greener.
And more accessible. So for more information, you can go to COUMP. What I wanted to tell you is that you see more the cars in the CCAM projects, but it's not only the cars. As Itır was saying, it's also infrastructure, and you also saw the bicycle. So the bicycles, it's a long discussion if bicycles are included or not in ITS and automation and so on and so forth, but the bicycle is not only the how do you call it, the hardware, it's also the biker. And the biker is most of the time connected with his mobile, wearing his earphones and so on. So the messages from the infrastructure are also going to the bikers. And cities such as Copenhagen are pioneers in that, because they actually are already collecting data from bicycles. They have bicycle lanes, and the bicycle network connected to the traffic management system, which we are going to talk about after lunch, but connected to the traffic management system and actually prioritizing on the bicycle users and not the vehicles as such. So when we're talking about hazard warning or vulnerable road user crossing and so on and so forth, these messages can also be received by the user on their phone, and they can be aware. So CCAM is not only vehicles, but more and more other modes on the road network. And that's where I'm passing to Itır to talk to you about the Drive to the Future project.